We're here live. Wow, Las Vegas. Here it is. Thank you.
Yes,
Wow,
here it is.
so early in the morning. It's so hot.
Oh, I know. Thank you for joining the show.
Well, it's nice to be here. Nice to be asked. Thank you.
And obviously, you just finished work on such a great project, something that's reportedly being called very innovative. Heavy Rain. How was that experience?
Well, I wasn't very knowledgeable about gaming, and I thought it was maybe a 2-week gig, and it was in Paris, and we did a few bits of motion capture, and it was for a demo. And then he said, "Oh yeah, I'd like you to come back for this kind of detective thing." And I thought a few more days, and then I didn't realize it was 2 years. And finally sat me down and gave me 4 scripts and said, "No, no, no. Uh, we got 15, 16 hours. It's like a movie with, hundreds of options." So uh, then I realized the gravity of the project, and well, got to know more about gaming and got knowledgeable about it and things. And so, yeah, it turned my head around.
And Heavy Rain, from what I know from the behind the scenes footage, is it was very much like any other on-camera work, except you're in silly, motion capture jumpsuits.
Yeah, I keep mine now. I wear mine daily outside. Nobody talks about it. I get a seat on the metro, a seat on the bus now. People think it's just a load of balls. Why I'm just walking around with this um, tight suit. No, early on, when I first got in front of the 28 cameras and the I guess I can call them stick people. When I saw my stick person and the different dots that represented my spine and walking across, I could see that if you walked across tired, those 8 dots or 10 dots that represented you showed that just how specific movement was. And that's why they don't hire people in the studio to walk across. It needs actors. It needs to be motivated dots, if you will. And then I realized right away that I mustn't change a thing and really concentrate on the internal life of my character, and then hence the dots would move in the way and motivated as the way they should. So, in retrospect, looking back, it's exactly being in a movie. I didn't have to do any motion capture acting or particular movement. I just needed to do my own movement. So then I realized, really, as an actor, it's a great exercise. Actually, a very famous actor recommended that I do motion capture. His name is Stephen Burkhoff, and he's been in lots of things. And I did a play with him in London called On the Waterfront, and I played the lead. I think they're in Hong Kong now doing it. And he said, "No, we mentioned motion capture." "No, no, no, you ought to do it. It's great for an actor. It's great because you have to do movement and actually speak with a movement." But all my life I've been playing detectives and things. I've done like 94 movies, and a lot of them been detectives and cops and military types and things. So it wasn't any different. It was just a well-written script.
I definitely agree. And did you get to interact with the other actors during motion capture? Was it just all you?
No, Jackie Ainsley, that was a female lead, and the actress that played the prostitute. Um, she was wonderful. And so, actually, two actresses made up one of the characters because one they used one of the female's body, and then the other used another woman's acting because she was British and they wanted the American accent. So they needed. So sometimes it could be made up of a couple of people, but they try not to. Basically, try to use the one person, the one voice, and things.
Right, I can understand that. I mean, when I was actually watching the casting auditions and the behind the scenes footage, I noticed all of them were British or they had an accent. And, during the game, I had only really gotten that when they said origami.
Yeah, yeah. It's like oregano. They say oregano or something.
It,
Yeah,
it,
different pronunciations.
it was quite entertaining, but at the same time, it was very interesting how lifelike the characters looked in the game. I mean, when you saw your game counterpart, were you shocked?
Well, they did enhance it. I look like I've been about 4 rounds with Mike Tyson. You know, they kind of thickened my nose and did a couple of so but that was the way of the character. Um, yeah, it was quite similar, and then uh, my size, I'm quite big, but that's exactly what he wanted, and kind of, well, I wouldn't say the Columbo type of character, but um, and so when we were doing it, and I think there's one point in the game where I have to change a baby's diaper, and then in order to deal with the obstacle, which was the child and crying, and then feeding, I thought, are young kids going to get into this? I mean, they're tired of shooting pterodactyls and living in mythic worlds. But I think that's why Heavy Rain has stood out, because it's kind of reverberated back to being a movie and being in a movie. And we always wanted to do detective things and say, why don't you ask this person? Why don't you talk to that? What about the knife? What about that phone call? And you don't get to do that in a movie. You have to follow the plot. But here you can have choices. So in a way, it's kind of an interactive movie, and we don't know if Sony is this going to be a new trend for games for a little while, or is it going to completely sway the market, or was just a one-off,
Well, it was a very, in my opinion, tense game. I mean, I remember getting so frustrated, like, no, my character is going to die. And I always thought that was the very interesting thing about it.
Yeah, that's what Terry Gilliam said. They hired Terry Gilliam, the director, or one of the directors, just to come over. And he isn't a gamer. And they gave him the game and stuff. And during one of my media interviews, he came over and said, I've been trying to control you for 2 hours. But he loved it. He said, wow, your character was. He said, I was so gripped because in the beginning, when you lose a child, and then I mean, it grabs you from the beginning. And so you're emotionally connected from the start. And I guess he liked my character because of his flaws and the journey that he goes on and stuff. So yeah, he got drawn in. I thought he'd make a great game movie director.
I
You
definitely
know.
think that your character specifically was very lifelike and had its own personality, and you did a very good job at bringing him to, I guess you could say not the silver screen, but the home console.
Yeah, yeah, no. I think it was the movie, because they've got rights on the movie. They're going to try to. I think you have some idea about selling a movie. I know that Sony, you've heard it here on The Fan first, that they're going to be doing maybe some chronicles of Heavy Rain, which is me and another actor playing one of the other detectives that was American in Paris, 10 years earlier.
Ooh, that sounds actually very interesting.
I think they're going with the character because it was quite interesting. So they decided, well, it's talk, and they're asking me about my availability. So because David Cage has already been asked by Sony, how do you like this? He's already been given the check from Sony and said, and his next project hasn't even been written yet. So maybe that's on the back of Heavy Rain. Wow. So that's nice.
That just shows that it did very well, and I think a lot of people were antsy because it is something new.
Yeah. What was fun is the opening, because we opened it the opening was in Paris, but we opened it like a movie. I mean, we had the limo and got out of the car, and the cinema had, I think we rented 3 different cinemas. One had the international press, one had the French press, one had some European press, 2,000 press in each cinema. And so when we came up to introduce ourselves, our character was behind us in the cinema screen. And so it was all done like a movie premiere, because selling it like a movie, because that's what was its selling point. Well, I guess the plot and stuff, rather than shooting pterodactyls.
That's very neat, though. I think that it's interesting that not only do you have a game counterpart now, but you're sort of a part of the first of its kind.
Well, what's happened is I don't know if you looked on YouTube, but I did this movie with Clive Owen and Jennifer Aniston called Derailed, and I was the detective on it. And somebody's picked up on it. And if you look at it, it's called Heavy Derailed. And they've taken the movie, my scene in it as a detective, and they stop and start it, and it looks like he got decisions like a computer game, you know.
I
So
I have seen the comparison shots because I think it's so amazing what Quantum Dreams did with just matching your guys' face and everything. I know they still exaggerated certain parts, but I think that, to look up and you're like, oh my gosh, that's me, is sort of interesting.
yeah, I didn't like to look. Uh, I just like to concentrate on the internal life of it, and worry about that when I had to do movement. If you think about movement for its own sake, it looks like that when the dots move across the the screen. It looks like dots. But if say I was running after someone or after someone after me, and I ran as if it was in the real situation, it all come to be. So really, uh, it was just like being in a movie. So the best I could concentrate on was the internal life of it, and I think just as I would approach a great role. But I think it has, I have to say, a lot to do with David Cage's writing, with the plot. It was just so good, and of course you say computer game twists and turns and choices, but it just I said, wow, this reads like a Polanski, and and so I think there's some interest in that direction to maybe, I don't know, maybe to take this to a different um, genre, maybe to a movie or something. I'm not sure what their plans are, but I know that they were talking about doing the Chronicles.
Well, hopefully they involve you in their future plans, and it sounds like you really got along with the staff involved.
Yeah, thanks, thank you. Yeah, um, yeah. So maybe we should have like best acting in a video game, or best virtually believable person or something like that.
Maybe in the future, that would be the best thing ever.
Well, it had sort of a bad press. The video games, I guess, I suppose, with actors. I think they most of them do movies and television, and then maybe commercials. But and maybe a lot of them, some of them are gamers, a lot of them aren't. And but now you can't not recognize video games. And look what happened with Avatar. Look how much motion capture that was, and things. And it's turning kind of mainstream now. And so I don't think at any point in some actors' career is going to come across motion capture and things, and especially with animation and things.
If I remember, I might be wrong with my source, but if I remember correctly, Avatar made about the same amount that a game called Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 did.
Right.
And that just goes to show, how big video games are going right now. People are kind of drifting away a little bit from animation, it seems like, in the voice acting world and whatnot, to go to video games because there's so many out there nowadays.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know why. I think the reason why Avatar didn't win the Academy was because of they had to recognize the social and political relevance of the Hurt Locker because of troops being away. So I think it had to be something like that to draw somebody's attention away from something as big as Avatar. But who knows now? We do have movies, and we do have motion capture and video games, but maybe there's a third way. There's a third ground where um, there's a plane where there's an interactive movie that's more like that. It shows it in Heavy Rain where kids want to be in a movie rather than in a mythic world is good, and it's imaginative, and some of them are so unbelievably imaginative. But sometimes, like comedians, the best thing is you take your influence from life. And I know a lot of comedians look at newspapers for them. Just pick up a newspaper, and you see some story that you couldn't make up. You couldn't imagine. You couldn't write. It happened in real life, and that's exactly what's happened with Heavy Rain. And you think, oh God, that's so believable. And I thought, well, no, it's actually taken from bits and pieces. Well, how it actually happened was the director had actually, believe it or not, was in Sony's store, looking at a video thing section, and lost his son for a few, must have been 5 minutes, 8 minutes, and his wife, and they looked for him. I think they eventually found him somewhere in the huge mall.
I would hope so.
Yeah, they did. And then that few minutes, and then he thought, that's what I'm going to start the game with, something that was so gripping. So that's hence one of the reasons why that's how he came across that idea. I actually hadn't realized or how or why or how he came to create Scott Shelby, but I know that the premise of the game and the emotional connection had a lot to do with mm, um, someone losing their son. So, and that's what Terry Gilliam had told me. He said, "Wow, I thought it was just a game, and then wow, I was drawn in so emotionally from the very beginning that, wow, I wouldn't say you forgot about it. You said forget about gaming, but I was so involved about trying to solve the problem." So I think I don't think Sony is dropping it. I think its popularity. I think they're going to do some kind of Chronicles. I don't know how big or what or something before Christmas on it. It was fun to work on it. Who knows where it goes?
I mean, that was one of my favorite things about the game is I search for games where I get emotionally attached to characters or story or something. It can't just be, oh, I'm shooting, Soldier A. That's not fun for me.
Yeah,
So with Heavy Rain, I remember I have to explain to a lot of people you have to get through that first hour where you're kind of just you're taking a shower and you're taking care of your kids until you get into it and you get just so emotionally attached to all the characters, not just Ethan Mars or his sons or anything like that.
yeah, um, exactly. And I think this is the way of gaming. I don't know what's, I think emotional attachment. Because most of when you're pressing buttons are shoot to kill or left and right and up and down and what have you. But moral questions, that one button, should I uh, cut off a finger to save my child? Wow, it's not a quick button press kind of thing. And so the hardest choices we have are more difficult in life than things that are imagined. Um, and I don't know how David come up with all these great turns and twists and ideas um, that he must have taken it from certain things in life. We didn't really have time to talk about it, you know. And I didn't want to play another detective. I mean, we've seen detectives and CSI this and CSI Nebraska and Men in Suits. But it was interesting because it was taken from the old genre of the old film noir, the detective who's flawed and helps a prostitute and tries to help people. He's basically a good guy and stuff like that. So um, I think he had most of it written, but when we started writing, halfway through it and stuff, he started making choices that was written, I wouldn't say around me, but kind of one and the same kind of choices. So, so I'm glad it's taken off the way it has. It gives hope for computer games,
Oh,
I think.
definitely. Well, that's actually really cool. We're going to take a very short break, so make sure to stay tuned to 91.8. 91.8thefan.com. Have you logged on today?
Who, me? No. No?
iStock's daily news show, video reviews, articles, forums, in an anime directory. Don't get left behind. Log in today. Only on
918thefan.com?
918thefan.com.
Alright, 918thefan.com.
And we're back, and let's jump right into it. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I also think that your character goes through a very big twist and turn throughout the story.
Yeah, I tried to just same in acting is to live the moment. One thing we call Stanislavski said, to shoot for the root and not the result. If you know, like in a movie, what's going to happen to you, you have to live as if this is the moment now, and you're living in the they call it living in the here and now, and don't know what's going to happen next around the corner. So I had to approach everything in the present moment, present day, and then take it a step at a time. And so it wouldn't precede any actions like life, really, you know.
And did you guys film in order, or did you film scenes out of order?
Whoa. Uh, Bit of both, mostly in order. A lot of it, well, some of it had to do with actors and actresses, what do you call it, their agendas and stuff. But the facial was pretty much in order. I had to come with, I don't know, what was it, 200 pages memorized
Ooh.
when we did the facial, because it was just one after the other. And the way to do it is either do a page at a time or see how far you can go. But then even the acting is hesitant. So sometimes some actors just did a line at a time. And then that was the same kind of approach. You just ignore the fact that your face is full of little tiny balls all over your face. You just have to live it as if it's really happening. So my objective is to give the director a lot of choice as to choose from. So when there was a line reading, to do it 7 different ways, comical and funny and tragic and emotional and some and not. And so then he has choice to edit in the editing room. So how they kept all that together, I don't know. You know, something small of a miracle.
That means you just got to work with a great team.
Yeah, yeah. No, they're pretty efficient. The French, they know what they're after. And it was like working with Luc Besson. I did a film called Fifth Element, and we filmed. So filming with Bruce Willis, and the same kind of thing. You show up on the set, and you don't know what's going to happen. They'd say, Luke, look at the 23 tanks have arrived. And he'd say, well, I don't know. Have lunch now? Maybe make love? I don't know what to do. And then sometimes he'd change the script completely. In my scene, I had a flamethrower, and I was practicing to use this thing. I was a head policeman, New York cop. And then he said, no, let's make it funny. Let's make her the perfect being. Let's make her jump at the last minute. You know, it was a police talk. He said, what would you say? I wrote down 5 minutes of like, stay there, lady, freeze, don't turn around, blah, blah. And then instead of her firing back or expecting some kind of male macho thing, she just jumped. And then we made it into something funny. And he loved that. But he did that at the moment. He did that on the moment. You know, with a $90 million budget and crew and people waiting, the audacity of that, rather than to fight against everything planned. But that's something about being French. They just kind of, I don't know, maybe we change things. Let's have lunch. Oh, maybe let's go naked. Maybe. I don't know. But that freedom within that structure had such chutzpah. And it shows in Fifth Element. It's control, but there's an element of improv or I guess living in the moment, living it now, here and now, you know.
I mean, would you say you like getting on camera work and other sort of jobs in the UK a little bit better than the US?
Well, no, all my jobs are American. They just happen to be, around Europe. I have an agent in Rome. I'm up for the next Kevin Costner film called Learning Italian. That shoots in Sicily and in Monaco next month. I had an agent in Paris. No, it's just it has a lot to do with money.
I can understand that.
Character actor sent from Los Angeles said, well, wait a minute, let's look at London. Well, wait a minute, we're shooting in Rome. Why don't we check Americans in Rome? So they do that first. But now with the internet, and stuff, everything goes around, and so you can be quite quick. But when I was a boy, when I was a young kid, and I looked at movies, I always loved the European looking things because they painted pictures. They were really concerned about the frame rather than just put one, two, three frames and tell the story. But it was important to the way it's seen. Like, look at the graphics on Heavy Rain. See, I didn't think it was that going to be that big of a story, or that heavy, that kind of intense thing. And then when they showed me the graphics of Heavy Rain and the darkness and the lights, I went, oh my God, this is really cynical and dark. Okay, right. Okay, now you're going to go there, are you? So believe it or not, through the set. So, and it's the same in Europe. I really love the look, not as dark and cynical, but just the look of things. They're concerned about painting a picture rather than just, it's the way you tell the story, And so that's one of the things that led me to Europe. And I just came, I think I came to London. My first job was in a film with Bill Murray called Razor's Edge. And I had one line or two, and I thought, well, that's good, I'll leave now. And then another one, and then another one. And I thought, well, wait a minute, hold on here. Everybody's trying to get to LA and New York. I thought, God, London's got a lot of films going on, Batman and all these big movies and stuff. So I stayed, and so I've been going back and forth, and including Europe. And then I did a film for called Wolverine for television in Rome, and I wasn't doing anything. Well, I'll get an agent, and I thought, well, nothing will come of it. And then I did a movie with Joe Mantegna in Venice called The Laguna, and then so got kind of work there and stuff. And then, of course, did Eyes Wide Shut with Tom Cruise and Angelina Jolie. I did a thing called Hackers. You ever see Hackers? Remember Hackers? The computer
I actually did see that one, yeah.
It was quite a long time ago. She was quite young. I played her teacher and stuff like that. But that was in early days, I think, when she had met John Lee Miller. And so, so I've stayed. And so, I've done lots of big parts in big movies. Maybe been a small fish in a big pond. Sometimes a big fish in a small pond. But it would be nice to be a big fish in a big pond. So I don't know. I miss home, and I'm going to come back, and I'll be back in LA next month, and see what happens. And see if I can get some work. And it'll probably be a detective, more than likely. And I have a few friends in The Wire. Clark Peters, I forget what character he played. One of the head guys on there. And a couple of those guys were Brits. But yeah, I'd love to do something like The Wire.
Now, I'm curious, since you got done with Heavy Rain, do you think you'll get into more sort of the video game roles, whether it be just voice acting or motion capture?
That's a good question. It's nice to say I've done it, but I think I'll continue with Heavy Rain. I'll see what happens with the Chronicles. We'll do that and stuff. And I don't know, see what offers come my way. I'm quite clear. I think I realized how lucky I was by having such a good character. No. To tell the truth, I've been asked to maybe play a baddie in another video game, kind of Bond-like, and asked me to do my, Russian accent. So all day we are talking like this, all the days, and I sound like Borat talking. And simples. I feel like I have my girlfriend's from Lithuania, so I can make fun of that because all day we are talking like this. And so I was asked to do a voice piece to see if it would, because I thought my physical look, my largeness looks like a big Russian heavy, which I played a couple of Russians before. And once with Pierce Brosnan in a film called The Fourth Protocol. That's right. Years ago. When he was doing Remington Steel. And so we'll see what happens there. That sounds like it might be pretty good. Yeah, I think it's opened my eyes. I think I would. I think I would consider it. But I think I would consider more the character. Because if the character is really good, let's see if I could bring something to it.
That's understandable. And do you have any upcoming projects that you're allowed to talk about besides the Heavy Rain Chronicles?
well, hopefully this learning Italian. Kevin Costner and you wait for it, Kevin McDonald directing, who directed Kevin in Waterworld.
Oh, very nice.
If you remember it. Another film called Zen. I'm doing a project called The Real American. That's in Germany. It's about the story of McCarthy. And yeah, that's more of a docudrama. But I hope to. No, I've actually planned to come out in L.A. If I'm not going to Sicily in June, and see what happens. I've got a new agent I'm very happy with in Los Angeles called the Gage Group. I think who you got in touch with, and very excited about because they're a theatrical agency who actually grew up its roots in New York, which is important to me rather than just about money. You know, you have to define why one is in the profession. You're either in it for money or art, and you should never lose sight of that. When I think that's any advice for anybody if you're into a profession. And sometimes in life, well, eventually in life, art and money do come together. But I try to remind my agents all the time that sometimes I do things for no money just because I want to do the art of it, the process of it.
That is very admirable. You really don't hear that nowadays.
Well, but see, this is the contradiction. This is where the dichotomy lie. The product is in the process. And those that just overrun the process, then, the camera doesn't lie. When it looks at an actor or an actress that is being sorrowful or crying for the sake of it, because it's in the scene, that's what it looks like. But if you're actually going through something, that it's much more believable, but only when you concentrate on its process do you get its product. So that's where the true emphasis should lie for any actor all through their life, but they tend to forget about that. We tend to forget about it, but that's where the product is, where the need is for the industry. They want to see result now, they want to see face. And an actor has to constantly remind himself to go back to the beginning, inside, internally. And it was no different for a video game, So I'm glad you guys are into Heavy Rain. And why is it? Let me ask you a question. Why is it so taken off? Is it because it's so different? It's come back to being just about people in a movie, or what is its main catch?
Well, I was already a fan of the studio. I liked their previous project, Indigo Prophecy, because it was unique. It was something different, and it was tense. It was almost on the bridge of horror, but not so much, because I love the horror genre. And then I was waiting for Heavy Rain because it looked like basically the big brother of that, if not better. And when I did get a chance to actually sit down and play Heavy Rain, I just get so tense and got so attached. And it's been a very long time since I've been like, okay, this is my last chapter. And I would play like 5 more chapters. The fact that it could grip me like that made me feel like this is a good game. This is a good game. This is getting me involved. Anything that gets you so excited and so happy to play, and you want to get to the end, it certainly deserves, high praise in my book.
Okay, good. Because coming from you, it sounds like you've been through a few games and stuff, and also coming from like Terry Gilliam, a well-known director who's never been a gamer and has been just as involved. He said for him as well from day one. He just said it was unbelievably gripping. Oh well, that's good to know. Well, that's a lot to do with David Cage then and his writing.
Oh, definitely. And I think that the actors, their portrayal in the game as well. But I know that the game itself will not attract a lot of people. There'll still be iffy on it because it is outside of the norm. But at the same time, that will be, determines what comes next.
Its selling point. Its main grip.
Exactly. And it also gives you choices. There's a lot of lectures and out there, and I guess we'll get into my geekiness, that there isn't necessarily choices in game, but fake ones, not moral choices, but fake choices. Like you start a game and the king's like, "Hey, you're going to take this quest, right?" And if you say no, he just re-asks you the question for the
Nice.
basics of example. And in Heavy Rain, you have so many choices to do this or that, to fail, to die, to win. There's so much there, you know?
It's oh, I see. I see. Okay. So the choice avenue is a little bit longer before you decided that you're on the wrong path, rather than. Is that it?
Yeah, rather than yes or no, and it's also moral choices. As you mentioned, cutting off your finger to save your child. That's when you're attached to the character, you're very gripped to that scene. I remember panicking.
Yeah, yeah. No, in the opening in Paris, and in the foyer with all the different cinemas with all the press, we did have a room. We had a room where anybody could go into and press or anybody, and there was a table there with a recorder and a saw and a couple of different things and a camera on you, and then and you had to read an envelope talking about different choices and film you. And so they had certain people go in there. It was quite gripping. I think they had me go in there as well at some point. And so were you surprised with the outcome, or did it finally dawn on you about
I didn't figure it out because it happened to be one of my favorite characters, and I always like good guys, so
yeah,
I didn't figure it out at all.
yeah,
It
yeah.
surprised me though, but at the same time, I liked that it was a twist. I was expecting a twist, but not that.
Okay, great. Oh, that's good. So surprised you. Okay. Oh, that's the word I was trying to. The two words I was trying to find out. What you were trying to talk to about earlier was a red herring.
Oh yes.
Yeah, where you have a red herring a lot of red herrings, and you kind of read them quite quickly, and oh, that's a red herring, as opposed to heavy rain. You don't know if it's a red herring for quite some time, and go, wait a minute, I'm going way down the wrong path. Um, Maybe that's more depth in writing, I suppose. Well, hopefully, this will be an influence in the writing in the future.
I do hope that this game does extend. I mean, it has gotten a lot of criticism, but I don't listen to game critics anymore.
Right. And why is that?
Most of the game criticism that it's gotten is mostly due to the fact that they don't say the writing's very good or the voice acting isn't so good. And the biggest other thing that people seem upset about is you can hear the characters' thoughts, and they think in a way that sort of ruins the game and ruins the outcome.
Right.
So
Okay.
I mean, this is just general opinion. Some of the
Yeah.
things I've noticed that have been said, and I'm like, I don't agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think some of the accents were, well, a lot of the accents in Paris, they were Americans, but I think they've been in Paris for quite a long time. A couple of guys were Brits, and some of their accents were forced. But one of the other detectives, he's very American, and they're really concerned with that. But I think it's their ears a bit lazy. Maybe they need an American ear to just check it out before they actually release it. But you know, um, it's important to some people because it breaks your believability.
Yeah, that is very true, but at the same time as the game goes on, it seems like your attachment to the characters sort of strengthens their performance in a way.
Right. Okay.
But I
Okay.
very much loved the game, and I loved your part in it, and I think that what Quantum Dream did and what you as an actor did was fabulous.
Oh, thanks. I think it was a good. I didn't see. You see, I didn't see these choices being made by Quantic Dream. I just thought, oh, this is another video game. This is what you do. We're doing a detective. Okay. And then it wasn't until it started to, come to fruition that I started looking at other games and around and think, oh, wait a minute, this is quite different. And I realized how lucky I was in a good script, uh, with Sony, in good hands with Quantic Dream, and in a good part, and realized, wow, okay, this is quite unique. Um, you know, and that's why the director was he went through a lot of actors, man. He went through to London. Wow, he went looking all over. And you think, well, it's just motion capture, but it isn't. It isn't. He really needs just the actor, He really needs and the actress.
Oh, definitely. And it seems like he went to all the stops to get the perfect actors for the game.
Yeah, yeah. He went through a lot of detectives, and I thought, well, he's not going to choose me. I'm too big, and I look like such a thug. And that's exactly what he's looking for. That's what he was looking for. Big Mr. Potato Head, big guy, big-hearted guy, and I guess play a lot of detectives. And now I don't think they knew how many detectives in all the movies I've been in. You can see it on imdb.com, and that a lot of them are emailing me now on YouTube, going, "Oh, but you were a detective in this and that," and so it's like, "Hello, I've been doing it all my life. Uh, choose being in this.
Well, at least now you're getting a little bit more recognition for it. We're going to take another break, but make sure to stay tuned if you want to know anything else about Heavy Rain or Sam Douglas. Ever wonder what's going on in the anime world? Check out 918 The Fan every weekday for the newest iStock. We'll fill you in on everything you need to know in 3 minutes or less. Only on 918thefan.com. We're back on 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want, nothing you don't. And everything you want from this interview is happening now.
Well, so look out for a film. I'm going to do a plug now. It's called Clean Skin, and it stars Sean Bean and Charlotte Rampling. I play a guy named Harry Oakes. It's about the London bombing that happened, the bombings in London, July 7th bombings. And it's kind of one of those intense thrillers. Sean Bean was, I don't know, do you know him in the
Yes,
States?
I'm aware of him.
Yeah, he did, he plays a lot of baddies and a lot of Harrison Ford. What was it? Patriot Games and all that kind of thing. He plays IRA and stuff. He's and it's that kind of thing. It's a very intense thriller. But I'm glad I'm not a detective. Just play a overweight millionaire.
Oh, very awesome. Then we will definitely look out for that.
I can stretch it out. Maybe one day I'll play a thin person. Get away with it. Hey, if I believe it, so do you. We'll say, no, I don't. I can't really. No, you don't do thin. You don't do thin.
Now, I'm wondering, for all of our listeners out there, since you're sort of getting into the video game world, and I know you are quite busy, do you think you'll ever get a chance to go to maybe video game conventions or anime conventions throughout the US or even London?
Uh, I probably will with the Chronicles coming up. I don't know. I think we're going to do them in talking about May or June. It wants to come out at Christmas. So, because we went to the London one, and then there was the Paris one. I know we weren't really invited to Cologne and stuff. If you can understand why, particularly my part, I think, how can I say without saying, there's four main characters, and he wanted to introduce them at certain different points in the game, at the conventions.
Right.
I don't know why they didn't have the money to pay for all four of us all the time in Germany and France and Spain and in Los Angeles. We would love to have come, and in Tokyo would have been great. But no, it was kind of measured who went to which one and that, and I don't know what were their reasoning. But I know one thing. One of the reasons for me was my character. He wanted to reveal it at the very last, right before the last official opening, which was I think February 16th. For shall we say obvious reasons.
Right.
And measuring different characters. I don't know. They decided when each character would be revealed. There was one, and then there was Ethan Mars, and then there was the other. Then Jackie Ainsley come out, and then a couple of us, and then three of them went to London, and then all of us finally came to Paris at the final end opening. So, and it might have done with money or plot or I don't know, but it wasn't all of us all the time. But to answer your question, yes, I think I'm still on the heavy rain train, and I'll stick with that until that's finished. But I'll see what happens. See if someone asks me else. Somebody's asked me to do some kind of a Bond thing. See if that comes to fruition. Playing the baddie Russian.
Well, if you do make any appearances, whether it be at conventions or anything like that, is there any place where we can update your fans?
Well, it's imdb.com, Internet Movie Database. Just look up Sam Douglas. It has the movies in there and stuff. I don't think you can access the I don't think you can access the movie clips. It's a shame because one of them is Snatch. I was in Snatch. Movie was Snatch with Brad Pitt, and the other was Eyes Wide Shut with Tom Cruise. And the other one, which I really am proud of, which is, believe it or not, Tonto Woman. It's called Tonto Woman. You can see it on YouTube. And what it is it was some advertisers that decided they wanted to do a movie, break into the movie industry. So we shot it in southern Spain, like a spaghetti western, one of these Sergio Leone. And it had Francesco Quinn in it, Anthony Quinn's son. And I played the baddie. It was great. It's a man's fantasy, be on a horse with some dust and all that kind of desert stuff. But it was written by Elmo Leonard, and it won. It was nominated for Academy Award for Best Short Film in 2008. We didn't win, but we were nominated,
Well,
and I
that's still
love
an
that.
honor.
I love that. I love that. So look it up on YouTube. It's called Tonto Woman. And I think one of my clip is "Do You Know Who I Am?" It's called "Do You Know Who I Am?" And so it has a wonderful look. Again, it just has that wonderful cinematic. And now I have to say the director Daniel Barber has broken into the movie industry proper. Now I think his first film was Harry Brown with Michael Caine, and it was all because of Tonto Woman. And I thought we were going to win Best Academy Award. So sometimes projects like that are wonderful. But unfortunately, you can't download them on imdb.com, but you can see the movies on there.
I understand. And before we let you go today, is there anything else you want to tell the listeners out there?
Thank you for Love and Heavy Rain. I mean, it gives hope to humanity rather than, there is life beyond pterodactyls, shooting in mythical worlds, even though they're creative and stuff. But nothing is more challenging than life. And I hope this is a turn for some game players and game creators to do things that are more interactive movies. Because everybody would like to have a shot to be in a movie. And I think this might be a whole different genre, interactive movie kind of thing, more as opposed to, jumping at different levels of existence with the paranormal or different planets and whatever. Something's more scary than my third wife. Try to deal with that. That's tricky. That's not left or right or kill to. It's something you can't kill. You've got to it's different layers of choice, man. There's a lot of gray area there, and that's where games should go. I think that's what's great about Heavy Rain. It's kind of it's a bit like life. You can't quite work it out. It's not cut and dried.
I understand, and I
Never
was
forget to
wondering.
laugh. Never forget to laugh.
Oh, that's a good one though.
Yeah.
I was wondering though if you'd like to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Okay. Does it involve clothing?
Not necessarily.
Okay. What is it?
We were wondering if you could do a bump for us.
What do you need?
I was wondering if you could say, "My name is, I do this, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan."
Okay. Okay. I've got a script now. When I was in Ireland, it was great because for many years. Sorry to detract, but I fly fish. I do a lot of fly fishing for trout and salmon. And when I was in Ireland, I hadn't heard country western music for some time, and there was a bump by Johnny Cash, and it was like, "Hi, I'm Johnny Cash, and you're listening to Galway Bay FM." And I thought, wow, Johnny Cash did a bump in Ireland. Wow, it was really great.
That is
So,
actually really neat.
no, I mean, maybe I'm showing my age.
Oh no, you're fine.
But this is Radio 918, The Fan, and I'm Sam Douglas, and you're listening to Jackie LaPaine Is that right?
It's
Tell me again. What's my
it's
script?
my name is, I do this, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Okay. Oh, it's 91.8. I'm Sam Douglas. I'm an actor in Heavy Rain, and you're listening to 91.8 The Fan.
Thank you. That was perfect.
Okay. One take.
Exactly.
You
No
do, I could,
bloopers.
yeah, no bloopers.
We usually do it live on air, and then we have everybody enjoy all the bloopers and the funny stuff.
Oh, I see the outtakes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm good at those. Yeah.
I'm sure you guys had a lot of bloopers on Heavy Rain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was mostly due to me because you know why? Because it's a long day. And I know some days for you, maybe it could be a long day. I don't know why, but humor really is a great medicine I don't know, to keep everybody fresh and alive all day and when you're tired. And sometimes David Cage will say, hey, listen, it's 10 hours and I need your energy. So there's a lot to be said for humor and keeping things fun. Did we have some outtakes? Well, it was fun exchanging balls with the model because every time we get near each other or touch each other, we always had this, Velcro ball thing exchange, and the computer had to redo everything. That was quite funny, and we get a lot of ball jokes. I mean, there's hundreds of them, and they've heard them all before, but they never stop getting funny. I keep being funny. I don't know. They're funny, you know?
Oh no, definitely. I mean, I remember in the game there was so much action, 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 and then there's that baby scene in the middle, and that was hilarious for me.
Yeah, I thought, is this going to work? And then I thought, no, 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 we're going to do this. Okay, all right. But for some reason, I've had some feedback on this. Kids love that. I don't know why. It's out of their remit, man.
I
It's
think
out
it
of the,
I think it's because it shows a sort of softer side to Shelby in a way, and so you kind of get a little bit more attached to him. I mean, kids and puppies, you get attached to kids and
yeah,
puppies.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that was why, probably one of the reasons why it was a sympathetic vote kind of thing going on. Yeah. Um, well, Jackie, thank you for thanks for calling, and it's nice to be on the fan, and I hope people support Heavy Rain. Maybe we'll do another one. I don't know where it'll go from it.
I don't know if you guys can really do a sequel, but maybe an alternative universe or something like that. Definitely
He's
hope
doing
you get more work.
He's doing the Chronicles, which is, I think, me and another detective for 10 years earlier, which is a great idea.
That'll be interesting to see, especially with your character. I mean, it seemed like there was so much more, like,
Yeah.
to know about him.
I'd like to see me, like 100 pounds thinner.
That's true.
Yeah, yeah, in the real unbelievable world of thinness. Many years ago and many pounds less. Yes, that would be a virtual world.
Well, I will definitely be looking out for that, and I really do appreciate you coming on the show and talking for as long as you did.
Thanks.
And it was a pleasure meeting you as well. So now I can brag about that at work.
Thanks. Enjoy the desert, man. I'm jealous. I love it.
Well, you'll be in the States soon, I believe.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
All right. Well, I will let you get back to your day, and if you ever want to promote your projects or do this again, we are always here.
Thanks, Jackie.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Take care, you guys.
Sam Douglas, folks. Now, be sure to stick around for all the latest and greatest tunes out there. Only on 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want.